Hello and welcome to another Century 21 Tech Talk briefing with me, Tracy. In this briefing, I'll be providing details about the operation and technical specifications of the Robotics International Crablogger. The Crablogger is a highly advanced mobile harvesting machine designed to collect raw materials and process them into wood pulp. The Crablogger is 342 feet long and weighs 435 tons. It can travel at a maximum speed of 40 miles per hour while in operation. The contract is planned and controlled from the accompanying base vehicle. The Crablogger base vehicle coordinates each phase of the operation, from creating the computerized tape that the Crablogger will use, to maintaining regular contact with the crew on board. A typical operation for the Crablogger works like this. First, the base vehicle's electronics engineer programs a route for the machine to follow and commits the information to a computer tape. The crew board the Crablogger by means of an elevator platform and seal the main hatch. The computerized route information is fed into the main databank, and the atomic motors are prepared for operation. As the atomic plant powers up, radiation shields are lowered in front of the control cabin. The chances of experiencing radiation exposure whilst operating the machine are minimal, but the enhanced shielding makes it even less likely. Switching on the ocular monitors, the crew are provided with a clear view of the path ahead, thanks to a set of cameras mounted in the Crablogger's superstructure. As the huge machine approaches its first objective, the initial clearance program switches into effect. Extending one of its powerful claws, the Crablogger clamps onto the target tree and holds it in place, while the large cutting blade at the front of the craft slices through the base of the trunk. The tree is then lifted out of the machine's path and fed into the opening of the processing plant. As the tree passes into the machine, it is stripped of its leaves and branches, then moves deeper into the Crablogger, where it is cut into preset lengths. While this occurs, the next tree is already being collected. Once cut into the appropriate size, the lengths of wood pass through a pipeline connecting the two sections of the vehicle. The rear section houses the pulping unit and barrel dispenser. The wood passes into the pulping apparatus and is extruded into a barrel at the other end. A typical logging program produces 60 barrels of processed wood pulp every 30 minutes. Every 15 minutes, a transporter will collect 30 barrels of pulp from the Crablogger via an automated collection point at the rear of the vehicle. This is achieved while the Crablogger remains in motion, so as not to slow down the clearance operation. The rear section also houses the Crablogger's fuel tanks, with a capacity for 1,000 gallons of Superon fuel. The tanks are resupplied every 3 hours by a dedicated fleet of tankers. When the Crablogger has completed its operation, it automatically shuts down at the predetermined position of the programmed route. Now, I know that the idea of tree clearance on such a vast scale might make some of you uneasy, but Robotics International have made it clear that no Crablogger will begin an operation before a number of trees equal to those planned for clearance have been planted elsewhere. Jim Lucas, the designer of the Crablogger, has always stated his intent to maintain the ecological balance of the world. However, despite the best intentions of Lucas and his company, the Crablogger's first operation was almost its last. Here's what happened. The Crablogger had been shipped out to South America to prove itself in the jungle down there, and for a while, everything seemed to be going according to plan. Not long into the first phase of the operation, one of the operators, a man named Peterson, collapsed at the controls. His fellow operator, McCall, raised the alarm with Crablogger base control, reporting that he too was beginning to feel unwell. Project Director Jansen ordered him to shut the Crablogger down. Unfortunately, McCall thought that he could manage to keep the machine running and finish the job. passed out soon after. With no one to operate it, the Crablogger veered off its programmed route and began tearing through the jungle out of control. Jansen set out a distress call to international rescue, and Scott, Virgil, and Brains were soon on their way to the danger zone. Meanwhile, the Crablogger's new course had it heading for San Martino. Fortunately, Jansen had radioed ahead, and the small village was evacuated before the huge machine crashed through it, leaving a path of destruction in its wake. The boys arrived quickly and unloaded the high-speed mobile crane from Thunderbird 2. Quickly catching up with the Crablogger, Virgil and Brains transferred to the machine and began to cut their way inside to get the crew out. While the rescue operation continued in South America, Lady Penelope and Parker were hard at work in England, tracking down Jim Lucas, the Crablogger's designer, in order to find out how to shut down the Crablogger before it collided with the new San Martino Dam. With the crew of the Crablogger safely on the way back to base camp with Scott, Virgil and Brains input the shutdown sequence transmitted by Penny. The shutdown sequence had a 3-minute time lag, and the Crablogger was perilously close to the dam. At the last moment, it began to move up an incline, leading it along a narrow ledge high above the dam site. The power plant finally closed down, and the Crablogger stopped. But the ledge was crumbling under the machine's weight, and it was still almost fully laden with fuel. If the Crablogger fell from the ledge, the resulting explosion would shatter the dam and flood the area for miles around at the cost of countless lives. Scott arrived in a Superon tanker, and with the aid of Virgil and Brains, the tanks were slowly drained. With each passing second, the Crablogger lurched more and more as the ground gave way. The instant the final drop of fuel was removed, Scott disengaged the pumps, and Virgil and Brains shot clear on their escape packs as the Crablogger tumbled down into the construction yard in a tangle of twisted parts and metal. Although the disaster was far from the triumphant beginning Jim Lucas had hoped for, it highlighted the need for improved safety features in the Crablogger's design. The Mark II Crablogger incorporates a remote override feature, so the machine can be shut down from the base camp vehicle. These modified Crabloggers have proven their worth, clearing the way for road construction pathfinders in the new highway developments around the world. I hope you enjoyed learning about the Crablogger. It's a fantastic piece of engineering, despite having a shaky start. I'll see you again for another Century 21 Tech Talk briefing very soon. Goodbye for now.